Okay, is an echo coming now? No, right? Yeah, okay, I'll just. Um, so for those of you who aren't familiar with WiDS is the Women in Data Science Worldwide Initiative, which was launched originally as a one-day technical conference at Stanford in 2015. So the live stream originally was attended by like a huge number of people, and this indicated an opportunity for global impact. Since then, WIDS has become like a global movement with a conference, datathon, regional events, a podcast series, and even an education outreach program. So it's become like a wonderful community to educate and inspire those interested in data science, and like regardless of gender, and also supporting the wonderful women in this field. I myself have joined this community and found amazing people to learn from and communicate and network with each other. I'm honored to start the first WIDS at Apptio chapter. Although I wanted this to happen in an offline setting, I think COVID had different plans. But it was for the good. We could get cross geography panelists, and this has been so exciting. I'm so glad that Apptio was as excited as I was to start this event, and Apptio and Appians have helped me so much to pull this together. Our theme for today is Women in Data Science, a Kaleidoscopic View. The reason why we chose this theme was to discuss how my role as a data scientist and all other data scientists work in tandem with other roles in an organization. We know that the world is going towards data science, and data scientist is the most excited role people are looking for. But I want to highlight through this event how important each and every other role is in this in a data science in an organization. So while speaking to each one of them, I understood how cool their work is and the value they add. Through this session, we will be talking about each and every of our roles and what exactly is our contribution towards data science. So, in an attempt to provide you the full picture, we've assembled a diverse panel and we will discuss how we work together. To kick off the event, we have our amazing Chief People Officer, Missy, to welcome you all.
Thank you for joining us for the Women in Data Science panel here at Apptio. My name is Missy Wagner. I'm the Chief People Officer, and I am excited that Apptio gets to host this amazing group of strong female leaders. And for many of them, I'm lucky to call them fellow Apptians. What I love about the work we do at Apptio is that everyone, no matter what level they are in the organization, what gender they are, what race they are, what their beliefs or history is. In data science products, we need everyone's drive and everyone's ideas and everyone's passion. We cannot do it without all of our employees working cohesively together in an inclusive environment to drive great results and create wildly successful customers. This is why we take diversity and inclusion so seriously. Inclusion need that. Is to consciously promote acceptance and demonstrate respect regardless of our differences, to actively listen to each other, to gain greater awareness of our unique experiences and perspectives, to seek continuous education, to recognize our own biases and take accountability for our blind spots towards inequality, to ensure our workforce reflects the culturally different communities that we serve by attracting, developing, and retaining diverse talent. We make this commitment so that we can bring in great female talent like yourselves in this panel we're going to meet today. We make this commitment so that our female employees are not marginalized in any way, and we strive to reward a skill set and not a gender. I am not sure I will ever feel like this journey is over for us, and that's okay. We want to get better every day. We want to continue to grow and develop strong female talent at all levels. We want to go out and hire great entry-level talent that can grow their careers at Apptio. But we also need strong senior talent so that we can ensure that our voices are heard at all levels of the conversation. At Apptio, we focus on the employee lifecycle, from attracting great talent to growing great talent to promoting great talent. And we're constantly looking at all of our strategies. We're looking at how we go out and recruit to ensure that we're sourcing from a diverse pool of talent, focusing on female university and colleges, female-led alumni groups, and partnering with organizations that help us promote the jobs and the great work we do here at Apptio. We have an amazing women's ERG that allows women of all ages to come together and discuss career growth, how to advocate for yourself as a woman in the workforce, how to balance work and life if you're a parent, and many other topics that impact women across our workforce. Apptio appreciates mentorship, and we believe that having a mentor or mentoring is vital to your growth here. We launched our Apptio mentorship program earlier this year, and I am just in awe of the amazing female talent we have both coaching and learning in the program. Today, we're going to hear from some of these amazing female Apptians, and I am excited for what you're going to hear and learn. It's an opportunity for you to hear more about the value proposition they create with data science, how different functions interact and intersect with data science, how data science products impact customers, as well as some career advice. I hope you enjoy this time for us. I'm very thankful that you're giving us your time, and enjoy the day.
Yeah, so thank you, Missy, for welcoming all of you over here. So we have a wonderful moderator for today, Mithali, and over to you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, all the members of the panel, and hello to all the audience members. A big thank you to Mahati and for Missy to address us and set the stage for us further. Before we get started, our topic for the day is WiDS at Apptio, a kaleidoscopic view. What is a kaleidoscopic view? A quick Google search would tell us that it is something that consists of a lot of different parts, be it a lot of colors, be it a lot of shapes, be it a lot of patterns. And to justify our title, we have an equally quirky and interesting panel with us today. They consist of all the verticals of the IT world. So here I am introducing our members of the panel, starting with Mahati. She is the youngest member on the panel and a WiDS ambassador. She works as a data scientist at Apptio. Could you just say a hi to us again?
Hi, everyone.
All right. Next, we have Sharda, who is the Director of Product Management at Apptio.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here.
Great. We have Jenny on board, who is the VP of Product Marketing at Apptio.
Hello, everyone. Great to have this opportunity to talk to you.
Perfect. We also have Emily Stang, who works as the Manager of Software Development Engineering at Apptio.
I'm excited to be here.
We have Hema Mova, who works as a Premier Customer Success Manager at Apptio.
Hi guys, excited to be here.
Last but not least, we have Vibha Selaria, who works as the Director of HR at Apptio India.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining.
A very warm welcome to all our panel members, and I'm pretty sure you guys are stoked to address us today. Before we get started, I would like to give a big shout out to Anand Srinivasan, Director of Engineering at Apptio, for suggesting this quirky title to us for our event. Now that we have set the stage, I have two requests to all the audience members. First one, the agenda henceforth would be that we would have a panel discussion, and post that we would move on to the career section, wherein audience, please feel free to ask any questions related to career, IT verticals, data science, and our panel would love to answer that for you. Second, I would highly recommend all of you to use the Q&A tab, and our panelists would keep answering your questions. In case they do not, they would surely get back to you at the end of our session, post our discussion. So please, yes, feel free to use the Q&A section, and our panelists would keep answering your questions while they're not speaking. So yes, let's begin. I would like to start off with the youngest member on our panel, Mahati. Hi.
Hi, Mithali.
So the first question is out to you. And I'm pretty sure I resonate a lot of the audience members when I ask you this. Why would you choose data science? Why not any other field apart from data science?
Yeah, so it was very funny how I started my career in data science, because I'm an electronics engineer. And the reason I took electronics was because I have both my parents working in the IT, and I was like, I don't want to sit in front of the laptop and work all day. So I was like, I want to stay away from this, work on hardware, build products, and get impact, and probably in the medical side. So then while working on these hardware and electronics, I sort of started engaging in the algorithms run at the end of these, the software and the ML algorithms you apply at the end. So you collect data from hardware and then you do a classification algorithm or something at the end. Like, I felt that's so cool, and I started liking that more. Like, as simple as how our smartwatches work. It just records all the signals, and through an ML algorithm, so much on the behind, it can bring, just find the anomalies in heart rates or do anything. So like the world was moving towards data science in a very fast pace, and I felt that very cool. So this sort of motivated me to pick up data science and focus on the algorithm part of it while understanding all the domain and how cool it was.
You are absolutely right when you say that the world is moving towards data science and how. I also have a side question to what you just answered. What would a typical life of a data scientist be like? Or to phrase it better, what's the best part about your work?
Yeah, so what I really enjoy about my work, it's not monotonous. I work in phases. So the first phase would be like understanding the domain, requirements, and what exactly is the business outcome needed. And so that's when I sort of interact with the PM team and understand what exactly am I supposed to build. The second phase would be like exploring the data, understanding more on it, and building the algorithms. So this was just like more hit and trial, understanding what is the latest algorithms and techniques used. And then the third part would be how I present it. If I build a model and show you the code, I'm sure you won't be able to understand anything. So representing my model and my work in a presentable way, people can understand and share metrics, how impactful my work is, that's the next phase. So it's working in these phases I enjoy a lot because it's not a continuous sitting and coding like I initially thought, but it involves all these fears, and that's what I really enjoy about my work.
Awesome. That sounds super interesting. And you give me a pretty cool perspective wherein normally you kind of interact with a lot of other folks from a lot of other verticals in your typical life cycle, work cycle. That makes me move on to Jenny. Hi, Jenny.
Hello.
I'm pretty curious to know, Mahati just pointed out that she interacts with a lot of folks. Um, as the VP of product marketing at Apptio, how is it that you are associated to data science? How does your work affect data science, or where is the data science in the kind of work that you do every day?
Yeah, there's actually kind of two areas of this. In product marketing, our job's to help bring products to market. So that means, deciding on the pricing, the packaging, the messaging, and who we market to. But we want to do that in a data-driven way. And a big part of that is identifying the best potential buyers and understanding what matters to them. So you can think of it as most companies have thousands of prospects that we don't want to just, spam everyone. We want to be able to focus our efforts on the right audience at the right time. And data science allows us to do that. We can look at where we've been successful and look at the database of contacts we have based on the industry they're in, their job titles, and we build what's called a user persona to help us really target our efforts on the right folks. And so that's one of the ways we consume data and use that to better market. We also learn a lot from the conversations that we can have in the sales organization. So in particular, Apptio uses a tool called Gong, and that is one of those tools that allows us to really grasp what is happening in sales conversations, what are some of the key themes that are recurring for us. And for product marketing, we can leverage that information to understand what really resonates most with our customers. So that turns into a sort of a feedback mechanism for us to improve our messaging, improve our positioning.
Perfect. So the secret sauce here is to kind of personalize experience a lot for them, and we use various tools like user personas and Gong for that, right?
Correct. Yeah. And so data is very important as marketing gets more and more kind of advanced in how we take things to market and better use, things like advertising dollars, right? We want to be able to be very targeted and know who we are addressing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So is that how we get new customers on board? Is there a certain strategy that we follow, or how do we get customers to come on board?
Yeah, I mean, the reverse side is, okay, so now, we know who we want to target. Where one of the areas we can also do is, take our advantages in our product that includes some of the differentiation we have using data science and leverage that as a differentiator in the market. So in other words, if we use data science in our products, that can help our end customers adopt our products. And so that becomes almost a lever to position us ahead of other competing products.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you so much for that answer. When we consider a financial management space, something like Apptio, which is super business critical, we understand that customers can get sometimes very apprehensive about adapting new technologies in their product suite. So Sharda, my next question would go out to you. How do we get into the customer psyche and make them understand what value our product delivers to them? How do we drive value through our product to our customers, especially in something which is super financial management space driven?
Absolutely, absolutely. So as customers go through their digital transformation journey, financial management is a fundamental key pillar, right? In understanding how they are getting their money's worth, because they're spending money and they want to make sure that their money is worth in terms of good business outcomes and advanced digital capabilities, right? So technology spend data and optimizations now have to be available real time with customized views, which provide the right data and insights to every stakeholder who's reviewing the data, visualizing the data, trying to take next steps and actions as well, be it in the financial space, be it the IT department or even a business function, right? So in order to understand this cost model, what we do is we take siloed and diverse sets of data sources, for example, like financial, operational, vendor, labor data. We go through a data pipeline, cleanse, validate, transform, and use it to drive a TCO model, which results in trust and defensibility on the analysis and insights that are surfaced through our products, right? So this is real-time data analytics as well as business insights. And these are absolutely critical for all companies and customers. Our customers understand this need. So products and tools from companies like Apptio rely on technologies like machine learning to provide customers this very information and valuable insights that they need in order to be successful and make the right decisions, right? Let me give you an example. Reporting and visualizations, for example, show variance analysis, comparing actuals to a plan, like in the financial management space. But what is becoming table stakes now is taking this one step further. Like, what can the user do to minimize the variance? Or what are the available knobs? What is the impact for each of these knobs? What are the recommendations to optimize cost, right? So answering similar questions in a simple yet intuitive manner and guiding the user through a set of actions that they can take on next steps is how I see data science being leveraged in the financial management space to drive value to our customers. And this is something that customers do realize it and understand that this is a foundational and a key pillar to be successful and drive successful business outcomes.
Yeah, and I'll elaborate a little bit more, which is most enterprises out there have millions of data, right? Like the petabytes of data that they need to process and be able to really get insight out of that data. And so if our products can help process that faster, meaning find the patterns in that data, be able to, do some intelligent architecting of that data, putting it into the right taxonomy, that saves our customers a ton of time, right? Because it's just a mess of data out there. So leveraging some of those capabilities really helps to accelerate our customers' abilities to really kind of find the insight that makes helps them make decisions. And that's in the end, how we help impact them.
Perfect. So from what I get from your answers is that the process is quite intuitive. We make it as easy and simple as we can for the customers, and they are in reverse on board, right? Okay,
Yeah.
we have a super interesting question from the audience. Anna, I love your question, and that's why I'm saving it for later. But other members from the audience, please feel free to use the Q&A tab, and our panelists would love to answer your questions. Well, yes. Moving on to the face of the brand to the customers, the CS side, the customer success side. Hema, my next question would be to you. In a typical day, how do you exactly get data from customers, and how do you translate it to business requirements? How is this process happening?
Mitali, thanks for the question. So it actually works the other way around. We define the business goal and the business objective first, and then we work towards gathering the relevant data to achieve the business objective, the ultimate business objective. Because until and unless we justify the kind of value that the requirement is going to provide to the customer, it's very difficult to gather the corresponding data. So even before we begin to the data gathering process, there's a lot of brainstorming that goes around with the customer stakeholders. There are C-level executives involved in that discussion who talk about their expectations towards contracting or licensing an Apptio product. There's always a business objective due to which they require the product or the solution in the organization. So that is key. Understanding the customer requirement is key before we even could proceed with asking them the kind of data that we require to implement or make sense of that business objective. So the first step there is to come up with a very robust, time-bound, and quantifiable customer success roadmap. Typically, it's for a year or multiple years, depending on how large the organization is and what kind of milestones they want to achieve. By using the Apptio solutions. So we define those milestones, and it's time bound. So we know that in the next 2 months, this is the milestone that we need to achieve. And we work towards it in a very structured manner. And when you tell the customer that, if you give us this data, this is the kind of insight that we'll be able to provide you, based on which this is the valuable business decision that you'll be able to make, which will eventually help you optimize or save cost. So that's a very solid argument to make to a customer when you're approaching them to gather any kind of data. So I would like to summarize by saying that all in all, data is always driven by a business objective.
Perfect. I'm pretty sure you clarified it for a lot other members from the audience too. We always tend to think it's a straight line, but it actually is the other way around. Thank you for that, Hema. Just a quick update, guys. We have really interesting questions from the audience in our Q&A tab, which our panel would love to take post our discussion. They are super interesting starting points for discussion. There's one question from Sanchit Srivastav. This is going to be a speaking point for us in the career section, so please stay tuned. We'll be addressing that question and many more such related questions in our career section. Hema, I kind of have an offshoot question related to the answer you just gave me. It gets me more curious. What are the kind of challenges you face in your role? Are there like huge data sets that you have to deal with? How do you deal with that? And what kind of challenges do you face in your role?
I would say huge data sets is always a good sign. The more the data, the merrier in this case, because there's a lot of ground to play around with when you have more data. When you have limited data, the kind of insights or the kind of value that you can derive from it, it decreases, because the insight should always be fact driven, and the more data you have, the more justification you're providing for the insight. So it's always good to have more data. Secondly, what kind of challenges we face. Again, unless you are able to justify, the kind of impact that they're going to have, of whether the data will be, if the data goes missing, and they're not able to come up to a consensus, or resolve a business decision, you need to make that kind of justification to the customer, the impact that the missing data would have on their business. So that is important. And if I talk in terms of very specific examples, I think one of the biggest challenges that a customer faces is to bring their data in a format that is accepted by the atom model. um, the data is very specific in its raw form to the customer or the organization that it belongs to. So when they want to bring it into the atom cost model, there are certain fields that they need to add into the data. They need to clean the data. The data needs to be uniform. It needs to adhere to some of the default guidelines that Apptio provides. So that is one of the biggest challenges that we face with most of our customers, and Apptio has come up with a very good solution for that. It involves data modeling and hence data science. The tool itself is called a auto classification tool, wherein the customers just have to send us their raw data, and the tool is basically trained on various data sets provided by our large base of customers, of course, based on their consent. If they provide us a consent of whether we can use their data anonymously to train our internal tools and products, that's when we go ahead and use the data, first of all, speaking from a security standpoint. And once we have that access, we trained this auto classification tool to understand the kind of input that we are getting from different data sources, and what are the possible outputs based on the input that we can get. So as soon as the customer provides us with the raw data, we feed it to the auto classification tool, and it classifies each line item to the categories that we need automatically. There's a very little human intervention or manual intervention involved in that. So yeah, as the challenges come in, as the challenges grow, uh, we need to adapt, and data science and data modeling comes in handy, and it's a huge deal in this space, because it's always based on competitor analysis and raw data.
Amazing. So what I derive from your answer is big data or data sets are never a challenge. In fact, they help us make our system all the more smarter and intelligent to give value to our customers that way. Thank you so much, Hema, for that answer. Thanks a lot. Moving on, I'd like to come back to Mahati. Mahati, Hema spoke about how big data sets make our systems all the more intelligent. And, it's kind of like a blessing in disguise. The more data we have, the smarter our systems become. I want to know from you, when data is actually presented to you, how do you even deal with it without getting overwhelmed? I mean, it's a lot of data. As Jenny mentioned, it's petas of data. So how do you deal with it without even getting overwhelmed? Like that much data can scare anyone off.
Yeah, that's true. Like they say the more data, the more merrier, but it's also more overwhelming because one major challenge is that every customer defines their own way of having the data. So the same data from one customer is different from the other customer. So this would be like we have to normalize the data. We need to understand what they want. It's a huge process. So to not get overwhelmed, probably I start with getting clarity on the business goal, what they want to achieve, and then organize the data. Probably, if you understand the business goal, maybe some data is not so relevant. Do a preliminary data analysis, we call exploratory data analysis. Massage the data, then reduce the data. Probably reduce some features so we can not get so overwhelmed, and we can reduce the quantity. We do this by some statistical measures, finding mean, variance, correlation between features, then probably creating simple visualizations, creating graphs between features, trying to understand more on what they represent. Also, understanding the domain they come from. Like data might be like cryptic and the domain might be huge. So if you understand the terminology and things in the domain, that will help us to understand the data better. For example, like right now, I'm working on right sizing cloud instances and providing recommendations. So the data is like I have a utilization data of some memory, CPU, and so much. But then, unless I understand how the cloud vendors function, how their instances are defined, what are the options they offer, I can't provide the best recommendations. So I need to understand the domain in and out, and that's exciting about this role because every time I start a new project, I have a new space to explore. So that's pretty exciting, though it's overwhelming at the same time. I enjoy it.
Your excitement surely is contagious, Madhi. It definitely is super contagious. And yes, you spoke about cloud cost optimization and all the other kind of tools and techniques that you use. Thank you for that. Thank you for providing us perspective on that. Moving on, coming to the engineering perspective, the entire crux of the data science model, the entire heartbeat of our algorithm. Emily, I'd like my next question to be posed to you. Given a data science model, what is it that you do next? What's the next step?
Thanks, Mitali. So I would say the next step is usually to take that model, what we've learned from it, and then work with product on how is the best way to deliver this to our customer. And then we will build that solution to get it the rest of the way. So one example of a project I worked on within Apptio Cloudability is cost anomaly detection. So if a customer's cloud spend looks anomalous, that anomaly will be caught by our data science models and written to, an output file. At that point, that's where we come in. We consume those anomalies. We decide, does a customer have a subscription? Do they want to be notified of this anomalous spend? Does this match any previous anomalies from the previous day? So we implement that logic, and then we offer our customers the option to be notified via PagerDuty or via paging or via email. So we kind of get it from that point where it's a data model, an anomaly was detected, to how do we want to communicate it to our customers? What are our customers' preferences? And then sending that off to the customer. So we'll own that full life cycle.
So from what I understand, there's a lot of understanding of customer psyche that goes on even in your work. You try your best to get into their skin and see how they could drive value from it. So I guess that would be a very personalized experience for each customer based on their requirements. We deal with our data. Post that, I have a related question to you, Emily, I'm so sorry. After you have dealt with your data science model, how do you later present it to your customer then?
Well, we work with product and design to identify what's the best way to present this to the customer in the most intuitive way to the customer. And then once we have those requirements that have been guided by our customers' feedback, we implement that and ship that solution.
Awesome. So that kind of clarifies a lot of things for me. Emily, I have a completely tangent question for you now. To the audience members, I have a detail to share about Emily. Emily recently shifted to the managerial role at Apptio. So in tandem to that, I know, switching to a leadership role requires accepting a lot more roles and responsibilities apart from your day job. Um, and normally, what we notice is that at a woman's career graph and her personal life, all these seem to be at a crossroad. Normally, when a woman switches to leadership role, there are also a lot more personal responsibilities during the same time she takes a beat, starting a family or taking care of children. How do you strike a balance? How is it that you manage to strike a balance?
Yeah, so I'll chime in on that one too, because I do have a 7-month-old son. And
Wow.
so, yeah, and that one is pretty challenging, right? And the thing about it is, early in my career, I did have this opportunity to lead a cross-functional task force, and that was helpful in showing what it meant to bring different stakeholders together and being able to get a project going. And so that really helped spur me on. But yeah, I would love to hear more from others too.
Yes, Emily. In fact, I'd love to know Emily's and Viva, both your viewpoints on this one.
I mean, I'm early in my management career. I don't have the experience that Jenny has. I could speak a bit to kind of how I decided to make that move. I had been working as an engineer for years, and I think there's a lot of curiosity and unsurety when you're earlier in your career and you see these career progressions, and maybe one is a more technical track of a staff and principal level engineer, and maybe one is geared more towards management. And I think a lot of, well, just speaking from the engineering perspective, but I think that you can learn a lot about yourself through work, such as what you like and what you're good at. But what I found probably most helpful in reaching that conclusion was just reading books. So I would read technical books, and then I would read team management and methodology books. And every time I read a technical book, I'm like, oh, that's good to know. This will help me in my job. But I never felt that motivation to like, oh, I want to go sit down on my laptop and, start proving it out. But then when I read more strategy and more management and team dynamic books, I would think like, oh, like, can I try this on my team? Or I really love to affect the strategy in, this direction or the other. So then that started to become more apparent to me, just based on that, what got me excited, what I wanted to go try, and what motivated me. So I think that's helpful when you're sort of reaching that position of, where do I take the next step in my career? Which direction do I go?
Wow, that was super interesting. Vibha, I'd love to know your take on this.
Yeah, hi everybody. So yeah, I think I've been hearing everybody a lot of technical stuff. So on Emily's point, yeah, I think it's all about striking a balance, because there's never a perfect mix to it. It's very situational, and there's no a particular answer that you have to spend these many hours here and X many hours there. It's very situational. It's just about being mindful of which situation demands what time of yours, if your work demands your time, or if your family demands the time. I think it's all about striking a balance.
Awesome. Awesome. Now that I have a slight idea of what everyone is referring to, one, probably a lot more member from the audience would have these questions. There may come dilemma points in your career, maybe when you're right out of college and what to take up, or be it, IC versus team leader role. Such questions do arise. In that situations, what would your take be on this, Vibha? What should a candidate go for?
So in terms of leadership role, you're talking about? Okay. So to my mind, I mean, if I talk about myself, for me, it wasn't a planned move. It just happened organically. And I genuinely believe that leadership is not necessarily years of experience based. Leadership skills is something that comes from within. I understand organizations provide a lot of training and mentorship, but I think that can only take you to a point. Beyond that is your passion for helping people, your passion to help people develop, how you approach a situation, how you articulate your messages makes the difference. Be empathetic. The moment that these kind of skill set comes into you from within, like being empathetic, approaching a situation in the right or wrong direction, trust me, things change drastically. I believe that leadership is a mutual trust, and every leader, if they instill that, I think people grow along. That's what my take on in this one is.
Absolutely. I could not agree more, Vibha. That's a fantastic perspective that you provided here. Um, Moving on to a slightly more less technical question that I have for you. A lot of these millennials, Gen Z kind of audience, hear a lot about diversity in an organization, Vibha. Like, they hear diversity this, diversity that. I want to know your personal take on this. How important is diversity really? Is it just a hyped up term? Is it just an overrated hyped up term? Or are there actually any tangible outcomes to having a diverse work atmosphere?
If I have to answer your question in simple words, it's very important. And there was a point of time when this was diversity and inclusion was a choice. It was option. But over the years, organizations have realized what goodness diversity and inclusion can bring to the organization.
Right.
And in all honesty, any organization who wants to grow, who wants to excel, who wants to cross boundaries, cross geographies, diversity and inclusion is actually not a choice. It's something that they must have. Uh, Diversity brings in perspective. It helps organization takes more informed decision. It helps them take a holistic view of what is wrong or right. Very recently I was studying some article, I think on one of the social media, and I learned that as we speak right now, a high level data which says that of the total workforce globally, 39% is roughly a women workforce. Uh, so if you look at it, if we aren't diverse, if we aren't inclusive, that the decision that we are taking is primarily 61% informed. That means 39% viewpoint, 39% thought process aren't being included. And you never know that 39% may be a game changer, maybe something that we didn't think about it. Genuinely, it's something could just change your viewpoint about right or wrong. So this is what I feel. And some of the proven facts for many years now is that companies who believe in equitable hiring are generally believed to be more high on their morality, on innovation. They have lesser personality conflicts. They typically think out of the box. They're able to retain and develop talent. I mean, all in all, they develop in the overall organizational dimensions. Basically, is what I feel. Now, if you talk about from Apptio perspective, do we really believe that? I think yes, thoroughly. I've been in Apptio for almost 2 years now, and I feel the inclusivity all day. I mean, day in and day out. I feel how welcome I feel. What goodness it has brought to us is that it has helped us collaborate. It has helped us cross geographies. It has helped us expand our business. We have learned to appreciate and respect people from different background, different culture. I think, to my mind, diversity and inclusion is empowering people to be their authentic self at workplace.
I am in awe of the answer that you give, because normally people just tend to speak about diversity without actually giving us statistics and figures, and you give it out loud and clear to us. So thank you so much for that, Vibha. Shada, I would love to know your take on this one too, because I'm pretty sure with your experience, you would have experienced a lot more examples, live examples of where diversity helped. So I would love to hear your take on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I believe diversity enhances creativity, right? I will double down on exactly what Vibha talked about a while ago. It brings in fresh new perspectives, new ideas, new thought processes, and people who think differently. That's what the diversity is about. They truly add value and are an asset, right? And it is well-known fact. I mean, we have so much data, especially over the last 30 years, that teams win hands down over any individuals, right? And taking that one step further again, diverse teams beat homogeneous teams, right? And that's a given, right? And this leads, and such diverse teams lead to improved problem solving. I mean, there have been books written, lectures, podcasts, and so much of information out there which shows that as diversity increases in organizations, it leads to improved problem solving, increased innovation, especially when there is complexity or complex problems to solve. Diversity is where you have new ideas, right? A person A may have a idea, a person B, completely different idea, but a combination of the two ideas in or picking and choosing, picking ideas from different personalities and different thought processes culminates into an entirely new innovative way to solve problems, right? And that is something that is proven time and time again, right? So I believe that diversity is just not a nice thing to do. People say, oh yeah, diversity, yes, it's, but I believe it's the right thing to do for any organization in order to be successful, in order to be innovative, as well as develop a culture that thrives through both hardships as well as successes, right? So I think that's where diversity plays an absolutely key role, and fortunate to contribute to that.
Couldn't
Perfect.
agree with you more, Sharda, on these pointers.
Absolutely. I personally could not have agreed more. As you rightly said, you rightly summed it up. Diversity is not just a nice thing, it's the right thing. So thank you so much for that answer, Sharda. Just a nitpick. Megan, I guess you posed a certain question to the panelists, which I feel personally is super interesting, and I'd love all the other attendees to know. So just a request, I would really appreciate it if you could post that question in the Q&A tab too, so that it's open to the entire members of the audience, and our panel can pick it up later during our discussion. Thank you, Megan. I hope. Perfect. There we go. All right. Audience, that brings us to the end of our very interesting panel discussion. Thank you so much to all the panel members who brought in so much perspective and so much interesting takes on every topic that we discussed about. Now we are moving on to the career related section. Any career related queries, please feel free to post in the Q&A tab, and our panels are going to keep answering that. We will be picking up questions from there soon. Starting off, Vibha, my first question is to you. Since this is women in data science, and we are speaking about data science, what are the top qualities that you are on the lookout for when you are hiring data science talent?
Okay. So I think irrespective whether it's data science or any other skills that we would like to hire for, of course we assess candidates on the basic skill set, because they need to have that. That's my ticket to entry. But beyond that, what we also assess candidates thoroughly on their adaptability skills, on their being flexible skills. How much hunger do they have? What's their appetite to take on more? And the reason for that is that because listen, nothing is kind of constant. Things will change. So technology is a ever evolving thing. The tech stacks will keep evolving or changing. The policies may change, the processes may change. So we ideally don't want people who are very fixated in their mind and they would like to work on a particular technology or in particular process or in a domain. We would like to have candidates who are adaptable, who are flexible, and who can embrace changes. When we hire at Apptio, we assess the candidates thoroughly and through a very robust process while they are interviewing with us. And we are super proud of the people that we have in system. They have been the true game changer or differentiator for us. Yeah, I think that's what I have to say on this.
Perfect. So from what I derive out of it, a tech stack is a given, but the skills that you spoke about are things that add a certain X factor to a candidate, if I'm right. Yes. Guys, I'll move on to my next question. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you would resonate to this. My next question to you, Vibha, would be, how much does a degree really matter? Like, how much does certain degree really matter when you want to get into a certain career field?
Okay, so you all set me to put me on spotlight. Yeah. All right. So here are my 2 cents to this question. So degree has a lot of weightage and matters when somebody is really starting their career, especially folks who are just out of college, because they do not have on the job experience, they do not have prior working experience, and any kind of theoretical knowledge or if the subject they have studied will be helpful. And of course, organizations will help them learn, train them, and help them implement that in their day-to-day work. Having said that, it does vary from one role to another and one organization to another. Now, to give you an example, let's say if I have to hire a coder, a developer, that's not a skill that I can teach somebody on the job, because they need to have learned that subject. They should know how to code. They should have a formal study around it. However, there are roles which are irrespective of your educational background. One can still learn on the job. You can get exposed. You can get those skills. And it also depends on one organization's to another on the risk-taking capacity. If I talk about this in Apptio's context, we do believe in giving people a fair opportunity. We ideally prefer degree, but it's not something that's mandated. Um, as recent as I don't know if some of you have learned about this or not, there are a lot of technical universities which have come up, and irrespective of your educational background, they help you reskill and upskill, and we do consider them for hiring. So that's what my take on things are.
And I have something I would like to add to that as well, more specifically to engineering, obviously. And I do believe that you have to have the skills, you have to be able to write code and program. But I do have a college degree in computer science, and there were times where I felt very challenged learning this difficult domain for the first time. But at the end of the day, like, I had to make the grade. So as frustrated as I could sometimes get, or to sometimes think to myself, oh, this isn't for me, I was like, well, at the end of the day, I have to pass this class. So I had that external motivator. So when I meet other engineers, and I've worked with many outstanding engineers who may come from different backgrounds, but they don't have, the degree in computer science or engineering or even something technical. If they taught themselves and can do the job, I respect that a lot, because not only does it show critical thinking skills, but also determination and persistence.
True that.
Could not agree more with both your answers. Thank you, Emily, and thank you, Vibha. Emily, thank you especially because you did kind of give us a consolation that yes, it's okay. You learn things on your own. It gives you the extra brownie points, much needed brownie points. So moving on, I guess a very debatable, a lot of people would be interested in knowing this. Skill set versus interest. Which one should you choose when they are at cross? cross paths with each other. Vibha, would you like to provide us your take on that?
Sure, but I'll surely need a couple of minutes to think through this in my mind and process this question. So your question is that versus interest and skill set,
Yes.
which one matters, right? So here are my initial thoughts to your question, and like I said, this is my personal view on the subject. I feel that interest probably has wee bit more weightage than skill set, because one may have the skill, but if they're not interested in a role, that probably will not help them go places. And at the same time, only your interest and no skill set would obviously not get you to a desired job. So yes, I think these two go hand in hand. If somebody has the interest, they can always develop the skill set. But if it's somebody has the skill set but no interest, it cannot be infused. It's something that comes naturally, something that you get through exposure. The way I see it is that interest and skill sets are, they're mutual supplement to each other. And as we grow in our careers, this is a cyclical phenomenon, in people's career, because that's how they learn about new things. They would like to develop the skill set. So if I have to conclude, I would say that these skill set and interest go hand in hand. Skills is your enabler, and your interest would be a factor for your growth and sustainability in the marketplace, is what I'll say.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Thank you, Vibha. But then I'm very curious to know what all my other panel members think about this. I'm sure everyone has their own personal story to this. So shoot.
I would agree with Vibha as well. I think our interest trumps the skill set. It's the passion and the I guess the desire to do what you truly believe in and are interested in is what is going to help you succeed. And of course, the right attitude and aptitude to constantly learn and develop, right? Once you have the right passion, the attitude, and the aptitude, and I think those would be the three key main factors that could help you succeed in life. So, and I think that would be my I guess my contribution to what to add to what Vibha mentioned.
I'd say there's no right answer to this per se, because everyone has their own approach when it comes to choosing interest over skill set or skill set over interest. So for some people it goes hand in hand, for some people it's completely two different things. So it depends on a person's priorities and the career goals, how an individual manages their skill set versus interest. So just speaking out of my own experience, my interest since I was a child was in dancing. So and ever since I was a kid, I used to participate in all kinds of dance competitions, and I would enjoy doing it. I was really passionate about it. But as I grew in my education and as I progressed, I was very focused on science. So even in my 11th and 12th, I took up physics, chemistry, maths, and bio, all of them together, because I didn't know where my interest lies. I didn't know whether it was completely in biology or completely in mathematics. So I took both, and I saw, let me see where the path leads me. And maybe eventually I'll gain interest. So I feel that sometimes it's more about experiencing things. A lot of times, because certain areas are untapped, you don't know how you would feel about that particular domain unless you really try it out, or you learn a bit about it, or you experience it hands on. And that's what happened with me. I When I first opted for computer science as a degree, to be honest, I did not enjoy it. It was not a very enjoyable process for me. I was just doing it for the sake of it, because I needed a degree for a job. So I just went with the flow. But as I got my first job, my skill set was limited to business intelligence and data analytics tools. And when you're studying, you don't get the opportunity to explore a particular specific domain in detail. You need to gather all sorts of information from a 360-degree perspective of the domain that you've chosen. But when you're out of your education, you have the opportunity to really tap onto the particular area that that drives you in the domain that you are in. So that's when I really developed the interest, and I realized, okay, this can be for me. And as I grew and I trained more in that area, I knew that I can be an expert in this one fine day. One fine day. I've not reached there yet. I hope to.
You're absolutely right, Hema. And like I said in the beginning of the conversation, that of course there's no perfect answer to it. It's somewhere a little bit situational. But again, I'm glad that your and my thoughts are kind of that's aligned. That yes, if you have the interest, you can develop the skill set, and some of these things hold true for somebody who's starting the career, because primarily at that point of time they have the skill and they just want to get in there. And as people start working, they get exposure, they learn about different domain, they develop skill, they develop interest, and with their interest they have to develop skills, and then you can always explore more and more opportunities.
Yeah, and this is especially common with engineers.
Yeah, like totally can relate to what Vibha was talking about. Because I'm an electronics engineer, and if I wanted to start in data science, obviously I don't have the exact skill set, and but then I did this fellowship program, in which we learned data science. I got more exposure. So definitely, if we want to follow our interest, we need to work extra on it. But it's always safer to start with your skill set, because especially in the corporate world and during this pandemic, I realized that no one would hire me so easily without some work experience. Like, I need something, some credibility on my profile. And another thing which I'm interested in is in behavioral science and psychology. So this is completely different from my engineering angle. But then I'm, working towards going in a direction where I can use data science on behavioral science. So this is something which I would really like to explore. And for that, I'm going in one direction first, building my data science credibility, learning as much as I can. And then slowly, probably I can pick up new things and then combine things and figure out something new. So that's how I'm balancing my skill set and interest together.
That is super cool, Mahati. That is super cool. I'm pretty sure the audience members must have resonated with all the answers given by our panelists. I don't say one. I'm being super bold when I say all the answers. Pretty sure at one stage or the other at life, we would be like,
Yep.
the engineering dilemma Hema spoke about, be it what Vibha spoke about, be it what Mahati said, that, probably we could try to incorporate our interests into our day jobs. So thank you so much,
Yeah,
panelists.
and I'll just say one thing, Mithali. So, like I said, this is a cyclical phenomena, right? Like what Mahati said is like she's hit the bullseye. That when she started the career, she has a particular theoretical knowledge. She wants to get in that, but now as she's progressing in her career, she's realized there's more to it. But then for to get there, she has to develop certain skill sets. So this is like a two things that will go hand in hand together. So, and these are, I'm repeating my word, this is like a constant mutual supplement to each other.
You are so right. It's a totally iterative cycle, and we go through the iterations a lot of times during our life.
Yep.
So yes, thank you so much, panel members, for the answers. I have a question to Mahati and Hema. I do realize from our discussion that there is a constant tech stack upgrade that constantly has to happen in our lives. How do you girls keep yourself up to date? And yes, I'd love Emily's take on this too.
I would say start from basics, and Mithali, in this question, I'd also like to somewhere answer Sanchit's question. So if someone wants to switch careers to data science, what's your suggestion or guidance on how and where to start? So I wouldn't say I'm an expert and totally depend on my guidance through what I'm saying right now, but it's based on personal experience. So start with basics. Start with exploring small data sets in Excel itself, where, before even using any kind of data warehousing or analytics tool. So everybody has Excel on their laptops. Now you have Excel on your phones as well, and you will get sample small raw data sets from Google. You can just download them and start exploring the data. Even if you have two columns in that data, try to make complete sense of it as to what those two columns are, uh, what kind of information they are giving you. So try to pose questions based on the data and try to answer them. And once you're comfortable with Excel, you Excel is also a very broad tool, let me tell you. I think people really underestimate Excel's functionalities and capabilities. There are a lot of data analysis functionalities in it that you can use. There's pivot tables, you can create macros. So once you've explored all of that, I think then you can slowly move on to like a more of a data warehousing tool, such as Oracle, SQL, Teradata. You can start with small SQL, learning small SQL queries as to how just to, pull and push data into the tables in your warehouse. Then you can move on to manipulating the data in, trying to get it in a desired format. And then once you're comfortable with the data warehousing or the SQL aspect of it, you can move on to like more advanced tools like creating data models. Try learning the basics of R and Python. There are automated data modeling tools wherein you don't really have to type the entire code. You just The codes are pre-built. You just have to provide an input and give some settings to for the kind of output that you need. So typically I would say that try to follow this kind of process. Start with basics and then move on to the more complicated tools as you build your interest.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I could add on that. Like, there are a lot of number of resources available online. You have Google Colab, which offers you GPU for free. You can just start on a small data set like Hema did and pick up. So you can start exploring your interest this way. There are a lot of new things and the new tech. So keeping yourself updated, there are a lot of online courses. Deeplearning.ai offers the latest ML and deep learning relevant courses. So I generally keep myself updated by following these, because when I start working on something, probably a few weeks later, someone comes up with something better and faster. So it's always important that we keep an eye on what's new so that we don't reinvent the whole wheel again. So that's always challenging, and you should always be aware of these things.
I would add on to that too. I found that within, I guess there's two different ways to look at it, like the technologies that you're currently working on, and then the hot new fancy stuff that you haven't implemented yet, but you're curious about. So I would say that for me to stay updated with the technologies that I'm using at my job, I usually subscribe to regular newsletters. Like, for example, the Go programming language. I get a weekly email and it gives me updates on newest versions, what's to come. Same with like Amazon Web Services, if you're using those. Learning what their newest services are and whatnot, because that could be coming down the pike for you. And then aside from what you're focused on at work, investigating new technologies that you might be able to apply in the future. There's tons of podcasts and newsletters. I even will go on Reddit and look at some subreddits specific to different technologies. And then if something sounds interesting, just maybe start playing with it a little bit here and there. Build a little pet project in a new language that seems interesting. So, and then again, like, I think books are always good too. So
I'll just add one point to what Emily said. Yes, while as a lot is yourself driven by your self-interest, but we do have a lot of focus programs in Apptio, like global mentorship program. There are a bunch of training and developments. Some of them are self-paced that one can look at. So do take advantage of that. If this question was to answer, this answer was to, for Sanchit's question, Sanchit, this is one of the things that you can also explore along with what other panelists have advised you.
Awesome. So I guess our panel has kind of given a 360-degree answer to the questions. Like Hema pointed out, we can start small. It's okay to start with a new version and eventually develop on top of that. Emily gave us an interesting perspective that learning does not have to always be books. It could be more interesting ways like podcasts and newsletters, very millennial ways of learning. So that's a very interesting take that our panelists have provided. With that, we would move on to answering the audience questions that we have. There was a very interesting question from Aditi Srivastav, which I believe Jenny has answered, but I would love it if the panel could take it up again. She asks, I've read that data science roles won't exist in 10 years. I find that hard to believe. I'm interested to know your thoughts on this and how the data scientist role is changing. Now, this is something that I'm pretty sure, all of you must have come across blogs like this which say things like that. But yes, our panel is here to provide a perspective in that.
Yeah, let me start with, my perspective there was, I actually think we're only starting to scratch the surface of where data science can be applied, right? And honestly, there's the obvious ways that like tech companies have jumped on it to improve processing times, enhance features, improve marketing. Those are sort of like the ones that like the tech industry have started on. But I really do think there is many more use cases for data science, things that are not necessarily in tech, right? And I think it can be used to improve public sector type work, nonprofit work, so many different areas. And so, I was hoping, and actually one other comment on that is I know that the study of data science as a major in universities is also just really starting to happen, right? Like a lot of schools are just adding this as a major now. So I do think there's a lot of more growth to be had, but I thought I would ask the other panelists, like, what are some, fun ways you guys have seen data science being used, maybe inside the job or outside the job?
I feel at present data science is so embedded in every aspect of our lives. It's going to be very difficult to even think of replacing it in the near future or even in the next 10 years, I feel. Because I mean, even if we didn't realize, like, it wasn't like a sudden boom. It eventually and gradually just got involved in all of our lives without even us realizing it. So it's everywhere. You watch TV. You watch the online streaming platforms. They are all driven by data science. All the recommendations that you get, and then when you do online shopping, that again is data driven. That again, all the recommendations that you get, it's based on your past purchase pattern, as well as the other customers who have a same shopping pattern as you. So based on all of that, they provide you with suggestions. It's there in logistics, air transportation, road transportation, railway transportation. It's there everywhere. It's there in your healthcare sector as well. And I won't be surprised if in near future robots and a machine is performing operations on us. That's not very far away, I feel. So I don't think we are at a lack of scope when it comes to data science, even in the next 10 years.
And Hema, you just reminded me of one use case that I knew. It was a utility company who was using it to help process utility bills, using a lot of the visual AI capabilities of scanning and being able to enter. And so there's just, utility or companies are using AI and ML. So yeah, there's lots of interesting ways that that can be used.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we've heard this, right? And every company is now becoming a data-driven company, be it, of course, we are in tech, but even outside of tech, right? Any company, like one would never think that like retail and restaurants, you take any company, they're all data-driven, given the fact that they want to service the end customer through every channel possible, right? Be it through mobile, be it through a laptop, be it through a computer, be it through your wearable, right? Everywhere there is data, it's just a matter of course, there is too much data, which means what do we do with it, right? So that's where the data science aspect comes into play, where data is great, but it needs a lot of processing needs to happen. A lot of we need to get the data to be informational and insight driven. And right, how do you take that raw data or the information, the bits and bytes that are being generated to actually drive something meaningful in every industry, in every vertical, right? So I don't think there's going to be a shortage of data science or anything related to data science or algorithms, be it the software tools. It's just a matter of how do we take, basically what insights do we drive? How do we make it meaningful for the customers? And the customer could be anyone and anything. And then how do we get it to be in a consumable and meaningful format, right? To drive value. So if so many innovations are yet to happen with the data. It's just mind-boggling to even think through the possibilities, right? So I would never ever say that data science job or anything related to data is going to disappear or be taken over, maybe automated, but we need of course human intervention and in order for us to either program or write algorithms or whatever it is that are needed in order to drive meaningful results. So I think it's not. I don't believe that it's going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, I would add on. I think some or all of us have probably heard the phrase "data is the new oil," and if you look at like these large quantities of data that companies are collecting in the world that we live in, there's so many potential patterns, things to learn, things to improve. And in order to like reap the benefits of that, that's what we need data science for. So if you think about the trajectory of new tech companies and all the data that they are going to start to collect and how they can make meaning out of it in the most valuable way possible, I don't see data science going anywhere for the next 10 years.
I could probably answer this like a data scientist. So AI is basically you're trying to mimic the human and create it into a machine, induce more intelligence into a machine. So I don't see a place where you can completely replace the human part and put everything into a machine. Data science is essentially automating our mundane human tasks, and a lot of humans might be eliminated in this process. But then expert knowledge of natural language processing, computer vision, like we are humans, we can do a lot of things, but then you need to be able to teach the machine all this. And so I think we'll still have a lot of research in this space going on, keep evolving, but I don't see any end in the near future. I could always come up with something new, especially during the pandemic. If you had noticed, a lot of new, apps, games, and a lot of new exciting tech came up into the picture because we had to convert into the digital space. Like I have a fitness app. I can follow, check how am I doing, and keep track of my calories and so many new things which are coming up. So as the world is changing, we'll still find new use cases, like everyone said. And I don't know if any of you watched this TV show called Person of Interest. So there's an AI which sort of, has a huge surveillance in trying to prevent a lot of terrorist activity and all these things. But then at the end, the message they also share is you can't completely rely on an AI. You need the human intervention. So I think they work together, and you can't end data science. You'll always work together with it.
I'll just add one input from HR point of view. So, I've been in HR for almost a little over 16 and a half years. And when I go back almost 16 years back, I think people used to ask me this question that, oh, this technology will end in 5 years or 6 years or 10 years. I think I've been through the journey, and my take on this, the technology will never end, whether it's AI, whether it's data science or anything else, right? It just keeps evolving. Maybe 10 years down the line, we'll have a bigger and a better and a most evolved version of data science, but that the concept is here to stay, is what I will say.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much to all the panel members for answering that. Aditi, I think I hope we answered your question well. We have another question from Neha Gupta. She has two questions, and I feel both of them are along the similar line. So I'll probably ask Shraddha to answer them. Her first one being, what is the best thing about being a product manager? I think Shraddha has answered that, but she could take it up again. And the second one being, how has PM function changed with data playing a major role now? So thoughts, Shraddha?
Absolutely. I'm biased here, so I believe being a product manager is as I mentioned, the pinnacle of one's career, right? And I believe that is like the ultimate function that a person could be a part of, and I'm fortunate to be part of the function. So we as PMs, I was an engineer before, so I was leading engineering teams, but I think getting to solve customer problems and driving, again, I go back to driving value, right? Are we driving enough value to the customer through our services or solutions? And I think being part of that journey is what excites me the most personally. It is again very subjective to the person's personality, aspirations, and other goals. But again, empathizing with the customer situation, helping them see and experience the value through our products and solutions and make an impact, right? That is what a product manager does, and is I believe a leader, no matter where in the leveling chain they are in, but being a PM leader and leading that journey in order to satisfy the customers or solve the customer's problems is what I believe is the best thing about being a PM, and of course influencing and making an impact. Internally within if we were to take the function within a particular organization, I believe being a PM is like being the glue that brings the different functions together in order to deliver that solution or the service to the end customer, right? And that is an absolutely influential position. Again, influence without authority. However, it is a great experience to go through. And if the person has, again, going back to the right attitude and aptitude, I think is the right career move for anyone to go through.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that answer, Shraddha. Neha, we hope we answered your queries, right? We have another question from Megan. She asked, what publications, website, blogs, conferences, and or books do we read or attend that are helpful to your work? So from the panel, if there's any particular, I remember Emily speaking about podcasts and newsletters. So I guess Megan is looking for any particular website, books that could help us stay updated.
So for data science, you could always tune into the Women in Data Science channel.
Looking like a
Because,
true ambassador.
yeah. So we do a lot of sessions in that. So there are speakers from Stanford and different research areas. There's AI in finance, AI in medical space, and different places where you can, just explore your interests. Apart from that, like the main probably paper where I go for research papers and see a lot of tech and latest research is the archive. So you can just type in your interest and probably find research papers relevant to it. And other than that, Andrew NG is like the god. He has Coursera course and everything. So deep learning.ai is a channel where he keeps updating new ML courses to that. So I generally refer to these like for related to data science, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. Interesting enough, in my area of product marketing, one of the ways I keep on top of what's happening in the industry, it's funny, but it's social media. It's sometimes you have to cut through some of the noise, but there are a couple people I do follow on Twitter who, are evangelists for different technologies, who are regular speakers at events and things like that. And I often, follow them just to see what are they talking about these days, and what are they writing about. And that helps me understand different perspectives. Of course, you always have to understand you have to cut the filter of some of the noise on social media as well, but it is a great avenue for learning about tech and what's current today. Sometimes you can even get insights around people's opinion of technology, and there are funny always like debates over is this tech better than that tech, and you get to hear the different people who chime into those conversations. So yeah, it's a different way to think of how to learn, but it keeps me up to speed.
Thank you.
Yes, so I could share a sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, please go ahead, Shraddha.
No, I was just going to say I could share what I do as well. This could be a little odd, but I typically look up VC firms. Where are they investing in, especially in the data tech space? They have the knowledge, or they have the I guess the breadth, as well as exposure to what are some of the startups or what are some of the new innovations that are coming along. So I typically follow where have they invested, what are the recent investments, how are those investments doing across all, especially across the more popular venture capitalist firms. So I could stay up to date on like the future of tech, right? Because again, I know not every company becomes a Facebook, but I think there is a lot of potential, especially in this particular space, for companies to innovate as well as flourish and become again more well known, as well as just grow over time, right? So I think that's another area where I typically read up and then understand what their investment strategies are from a data and tech space. Just another channel.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mahati, Jenny, and Shraddha for your answers.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I wanted to just add a quick thing onto what Jenny said. She mentioned social media, and I think that's really great. I think too, if you do happen to be working in the industry or have friends in an industry that you're interested in, just chatting with them, figuring out like what they're interested in, ask them for book recommendations, say, I'm kind of interested in maybe doing this, and they might share some recommendations. But I think some of the most useful resources, I've actually just had conversations with mentors and said, like, what book do you recommend? Like, how can I get better at this? So I think that's always really helpful. And I don't know, not everyone is super active on social media. I think sometimes it's cool to just identify those people in your life who you admire and ask them for advice on that as well.
Amazing.
I don't have anything against social media. I think it's great. And I think it's a great resource.
Well, I noticed a collective nod from the audience as soon as Jenny mentioned social media, and everyone was like, yeah, that's where we learn most of our stuff from. That's where we learn the buzzwords from. So thank you so much for your answer on that one, panel members. I think we have one last question from the audience. Post that, we can conclude our event. This is one from our live streamers. Anna has shared it. How will AI change data science over the next few years?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to speak to this. The idea of AI is like an intelligent technology, but we as data scientists are the ones teaching it. So I think that the way I would maybe frame this question would not be what will the effect of AI on data science be, but how will data science affect AI? Because data science and data scientists are what's driving and building AI. So that might be like a kind of non-answer, but I would say I see a lot more change in AI from the data science side versus AI changing data science. It's almost like a subset of data science. So I hope that answers the question, and if others are interested in chiming in.
Yeah, sure. So I feel the one industry sector which is still being explored and has huge potential in the near future to especially implement AI is the medical field. I feel there's still a lot of research going on in that particular area. So the other day I was watching this documentary, and yes, going back to the previous question, I'm tying it back to the previous question of of what are the different sources. I think Netflix documentaries are also good sources. Nowadays there are so many educational and informational documentaries out there. So there's one called Explained. It has all these different episodes that explains like a particular topic in detail and in a very layman kind of manner. So I saw this one particular episode that was on bionic body parts, and they are still testing it out. It's not been implemented on full scale in the market, but it has great potential. And think about all the impact that it would make on disabled people, the kind of opportunities that they'll have. They'll finally be able to feel normal again. I think that's great, and we are driving towards a really amazing future in medicine especially.
Is there some
Brilliant.
anyone on the panel who'd like to give their viewpoint on this? Okay, if not, I guess we are good to go. I just have one personal question to Vibha. I want to know more of your take on balancing professional and personal lives. I know, we have to don many hats, not just in not just in personal lives, but professional careers too. You being a director, you have to like don multiple hats and keep switching between those hats. I'd like to know just your final closing thoughts on that one, because your last answer seemed very interesting and I'm curious to know more.
All right. Yeah, so I think I'm not sure if I said this before or not, but I would repeat myself if I've done that already. Is that yes, across the globe, women do have to strike a balance more because of the socio-factor reasons. Um, and it's all about striking the balance. I mean, I'll just share my personal story. My personal story started when I started my family. One I could strike a balance because I was very clear in my mind. So one needs to be very clear in the mind. I was very clear that I want to continue working, and I wanted to continue working for my personal sense of accomplishment. Um, and it's all about working backwards after that, managing your support system, your logistical arrangement, infrastructure, and so on and so forth. One message that I would give it to the group here is that yes, I agree that I haven't been around 24 by 7 for my family, but in all honesty, I don't regret that, because it's all about spending quality time with your people, with your family, and not the quantity. When you feel fulfilled, when you feel accomplished, you'll be able to spread the happiness and positivity to your family members. So if I have to just summarize the statement, I would say that it's all about being more structured, being more thought through, and being more organized, and have an honest conversation with yourself and with your family, and let them become your partner in your journey. With this, I could strike a balance, and I hope my thoughts may just kind of help others.
Thank you so much, Vibha. Thank you so much for that. With that, we come to the end of our event. Thank you so much to all the panel members for answering all our questions and being so patient. And thank you to all the audience members. And now I hand it over to Jenny to conclude our event.
Thank you so much. And again, we thank everybody for joining us today. We hope everyone enjoyed the conversation and had a chance to learn something. We love the questions that you guys came up with, and this discussion is hopefully just the start for us. Apptio is happy to be a sponsor for Women in Data Science, and we really do look forward to our next event. So keep an eye out on LinkedIn, social media, or any other places for what else we will be hosting in the future. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank
You
you all.
everybody
It
for
was
joining.
great,
Have a good day.
great
Bye-bye.
experience.
Oh, we have one question. Okay, somebody said.
Oh, there's someone who
Okay.
resonates with you, Vibha.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Well, thank you guys. Stay safe.
Thank you, everybody.
Stay happy, and we will see you all soon shortly. Please feel free to connect with us on social media, LinkedIn, on LinkedIn. We'd love to interact with all of you and get to know you all more. I have paused the recording, but I remember Anna telling us something about stop live stream.
Yes. Okay, you paused it, right? Fine. Probably. Yeah. We'll probably figure it out.
Okay. Hi, Anna. I just added you to the panel. Can you tell me what to do next? You asked me to not stop it, but instead end it, but I don't see that option. Well, I guess she's not here.
Okay, if it's paused, then it should not be on.
It's paused for now. Do I stop it? I see three options: stop live stream, view it, and copy streaming link.
Yeah, I think.
You're still live. I can see it on LinkedIn.